One of my favorite writers for the Christian Womanhood magazine is Frieda Cowling of Schererville, Indiana. And I put a series last year in the Christian Womanhood magazine about weight loss, and she wrote several of them because she has actively worked on her weight for years and years and years. So this one says, "Me, a glutton." It's from the August issue of the Christian Womanhood magazine. Proverbs 23:21, "For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags." I have never thought of myself as anything other than average, apart from what God can do in my life, but I certainly do not want to be labeled as either a drunkard or a glutton or to be clothed with rags. The subject of weight has always been a dirty word for me since I was overweight until I was in the 8th grade. I was not overweight because I had a health problem, but because I have always loved eating. I would hear people say, "I'm stuffed and cannot eat another bite." I didn't actually speak those thoughts out loud, but I always thought I could. Actually, I love food, and finding something I don't like or enjoy eating is hard. In fact, I would like to adopt the "if a little is good, a lot is better" philosophy. I would like to, but I would not like to dig my grave with my teeth. I love eating, but I would not like to weigh 300 or more pounds. Since I was overweight as a child, I have lived with a weight wisecracks ever since I could remember, such as "You're 5 feet in every direction," or "Have you tried exercise? Push away from the table." I laughed at the comments on the outside, but I was crying on the inside. The summer I was in the 8th grade, I did not lose weight, but I grew taller and my shape no longer resembled an orange. People around me noticed, and their comments made me feel good about myself. I decided I would always weigh 125 pounds, which was not small for a girl that age, but was a goal I set for myself over 70 years ago. Maintaining this weight has been a struggle every day since then, because I have to admit I was and still am a glutton at heart. Eating right remains a continuing struggle because I have found that the older I am, the more difficult maintaining my weight becomes. I realize my victory over intemperate eating is a choice everyone individually must make. Making this choice was definitely a problem for me, and other words of correction, glares, and stares at the guilty eater only made the problem worse instead of better. For me, eating became an escape from the reality of being overweight. When I ate a lot of food, I always ate alone with no one else watching, probably to relieve my guilt. It didn't. However, my secret eating didn't stop there because I found other ways to perfect the art of secret eating. Number one, I continually tasted food while preparing meals. I would tell myself that I was just making sure the food tasted good, but I would never stop with one small taste, and by the time the food was on the table, I had already eaten an average-sized meal. I made a no tasting while cooking rule for myself. Number two, I ate leftovers as the food was being put away. Continuing to nibble on the leftovers or finishing what is left in the dish is tempting. I quote this adage to myself: "A minute on the lips, forever on the hips." In my case, it's forever on my abdomen. Number three, I ate small portions of food after the food was put away, especially at night when everyone was asleep. Cutting small slivers of a pie or cake will soon equal a whole piece. And an occasional spoonful of ice cream eaten from the container will soon equal a dish. Number four, when I was depressed, I would buy a bag of chocolate-covered peanuts and eat them all. These are my favorite, and I shop for them alone. After eating the bag at one sitting, I felt unhappy and guilty. I felt no pleasure in my choice. Number five, when eating alone, I did not decide in advance upon the size of the portions of food. I simply ate all I wanted. I guess I thought, if I am alone, no one will know or care. I was the one who cared when my clothing was bulging at the seams, or I chose to wear tents to hide my shape. Did you know that gaining 10 pounds equals increasing one dress size? The last time I checked, blankets are not in fashion, no matter the color or design. Number six, I ate while reading or doing something else I enjoyed. This seemed to encourage me to eat from habit instead of hunger, which is not a good idea if you're a glutton. A time came in my life when I had to face the facts, even if I did not want to do so. I have read that 60 to 65% of Americans are overweight, and I was one of them. How sad. Have I mentioned that I despise the word obese? Obesity can result in the following. If I am 30 pounds over the weight I should be for my height, I am considered obese. I know all the excuses that are used. I have genetic problem. I am big bones. However, my problem was neither of these excuses. Mine is nothing but gluttony. If I am obese, I can expect to live 7 years fewer than someone who controls his or her weight. I can think of those who are exceptions to that fact, but the statistic is generally true. Excess weight increases my risk of developing heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, knee problems, cholesterol issues, and most cancers, especially uterine, kidney, breast, and colon. Most of us know what we need to do to improve our diet and our health, but change is painful and must be self-motivated. When my health is gone, my service to God will be diminished. My mother used to say it does no good to shut the gate when the cow is already out. Today, we can make the decision daily to take at least a few extra steps to improve our health by eating slowly and by eating less. Try to dwell on the positive in controlling your weight. I decided to try to eat healthy foods 80% of the time and refuse to feel guilty about the other 20%. However, doing the opposite, eating right 20% of the time and anything we want 80% of the time, usually will lead to eventual health problems. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. I stress this verse with our children to help them realize they could do nothing without God's help. Why should this fail to be true for me in my struggle to control my weight and be able to be more effectively serving God? How much easier it is to give advice to others than to apply it to yourself. Let's all remember that we are gluttons at heart, and let's try to overcome it and do all we can to keep our weight at a right place. Ladies, it's really hard, and gluttony is one of all of our sins, but we don't have to stay there, and don't let this get you down. Just try to change one thing about your eating and see what it does to help you. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice.